Somebody, Isaac, I can't believe it. I love that so much. So Isaac is calling in about the paradox of tolerance. Isaac, you're live on Skeptic
Hi,
Generation.
Eric.
Hey!
How's it going?
Honestly, I am doing my best. Like in the last week, the longest amount of sleep that I've had has been 3 hours.
That's rough. That's
I
real rough.
I am like holding on, and there is no way that I'm not doing the show. So I am just like doing my absolute best. And you wanted to call in about the paradox of tolerance, which I love. So
Yeah,
what do you want to talk?
I watched that. Yeah, I watched that Patreon video that you made, and I don't fully remember exactly all the points you made because it's been a while. But I was curious on how much of a paradox you actually think it is, or do you think once you start adding the nuance of human experience, it really kind of dissolves away? Like my perspective on it is if you're intolerant of someone else's intolerance, I think once you add in the concept of like a social contract or just societal expectations in general, it's perfectly fine to call out the people who are being, intolerant or bigoted or whatever. Does it seem to disappear that quickly for you, or does it still remain a paradox for you?
Yeah. So let me set it up a little bit for people who are watching that didn't watch that video.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a nutshell, I'm probably going to butcher this, but the paradox of tolerance basically states that a tolerant society needs some level of intolerance, because and I'll bring that back a bit. So, let's say you want to create a tolerant place. So you build up this environment, but if you bring in intolerant views, they're going to push down other people and make it a less tolerant place. So the best way to have a tolerant world is to not tolerate intolerance. I said that word so many times, I probably lost all meaning. but that's it. Is intolerance of intolerance is the only way to preserve it. And that
Yeah, okay.
kind of is the paradox there. And so when you're talking about like social contracts and all of that, I absolutely agree. I understand, but I think those are justifications for, why it's okay to not tolerate intolerance. And while I
Yeah.
agree, I think that's still what it is. It's a justification. Now, when I brought this up to V had a very different view.
Did they share their view or no?
I don't mind talking
Easy
about
to
it.
share their view, or is it?
Yeah. They looked at me and they said, Eric, why do you want to tolerate people? Is that the world that we want, where we tolerate each other? It's like, well, what do you mean?
Probably not a good word.
No. But at the same time, it is true that we cultivate communities around shared experiences. We cultivate our friendships and the people that we count on, the people around us, based on things that we have in common. And it's okay to not tolerate shittiness in the communities that we're cultivating for ourselves. And in that way, at least from what V had told me, they're just like, maybe we shouldn't try to be the most tolerant. Maybe we should just cultivate those communities that are best for us. And I kind of vacillate on it. I go back and forth, because while I agree, it also does not resolve the kind of questions about what we should do in bigger terms about society, and how a better world is going to be shaped. It just seems, in a way, to be kind of a red herring, but at the same time, it was important enough that it really left a mark on me, and I remembered it.
Yeah. I'm curious. Yeah, the cultivating communities idea is great, and it treats people with the respect they deserve in their communities, but it doesn't really grow to like national level.
Right.
It's hard to counter the national level of intolerance. So it's kind of an isolationist, which isolationist in a good way, because you get a positive community. Now, I don't know how you count. You probably just have to start getting more and more of those communities to show up. You don't really
Agreed.
And once enough of them are out there, then it could tip the perspective of the people who are kind of in a negative, worldview, and maybe we'll just trend better over a period of time. But I don't think it has a clear route. I think that's a tough path.
Hey, Isaac, I'm just right there with you. And I think you nailed it on the head, though. Maybe having a country as big as the United States is just not a good idea.
Well, I mean, we're about the same size as Europe, and they're totally different, countries all over there.
And I've also lived all over the United States, and I got to tell you, like culturally, the differences in regions of the United States are they might as well be different countries.
Oh, they feel. I'm from the Midwest originally, and yeah, it feels like a totally different place for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know, but how does that all impact the paradox of tolerance? I think that implicit in the paradox of tolerance is do you know what the oh my gosh, I'm going to forget the title. It's the veil of ignorance.
Oh, I'm blanking at the moment. Can you add more detail?
Yeah, well, I would do it anyway because people are listening. But the veil of ignorance is the idea that if you want to build the best society, then build it in a way that you do not know where you'll wind up.
Yeah.
If you're going to build...
No, that...
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add, like, that's the perfect way to do it because not everybody knows, you never know where you're going to end up, even when you're as a child or anything like that. Like,
no, you don't.
Let alone, like, pre-existent, But.
Yeah. And the idea is maybe you're going to treat the disadvantaged better if you do not know if you're going to be disadvantaged. That's kind of that's kind of the crux of that whole veil of ignorance piece. And implicit in that assumption is that you're creating a society for everyone, everywhere. And I think that's the same as the paradox of tolerance, is there's this implicit assumption that you're building something for everyone, everywhere, at all times. And
so the veil of ignorance is more of a thought experiment because we never start with that blank slate. We always start with the histories and the negative views and positive views that we have of other people as a society. However good or bad they are, we always start with those.
And the same is true with the paradox of tolerance. It is a thought experiment. I just think that it's interesting because I've heard it used in a way to shut down communication, to shut down thought.
That's what I think the intolerant people that want to remain with their negative views would use that paradox.
Yeah, and they
like,
do.
No, you're intolerant too. Nuh-uh, and then they stick their tongue out and blow raspberries or whatever.
Yep, that's pretty much exactly what happens, which is why I think we should talk about it a little bit and understand it better. Because if you do understand it, then the justifications that you gave, Isaac, right at the beginning. This is the kind of world that I want to live in, right? I want to live in a world where people are kind to each other and this and that and the other thing. And I think that you're going to discriminate justifiably, between the people who get to be a part of that. But I think that implicit in that is the understanding that it's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I find myself confused. And when I'm confused, I bring it up. And I know that gets a lot of people scratching their head because I'm supposed to be a communicator. But what better way to try that out? Try out those ideas and talk to people about it. I don't know. It tickled me and I wanted to represent it. And so that's what I made that video about. But I don't know if I provided any clarity, but hopefully a little bit more context.
I think we're on a very similar page there. I think we both realize that the paradox isn't used in a sincere way most times, and it's usually used as a shield for shittiness. And I think we can all adapt more of a view that V has in trying to build, communities that are kind, caring, and respectful, and hopefully other people pick up on how good that can be and start spreading it around.
They're a smart cookie. I'm still holding out hope that we can do better. But until then, I think that's where I'm left to.
Well, I know it's a hard battle to do better on the national scale, but I think we can do what V was talking about on a local scale across the country in pockets
I
a
agree.
lot more successfully than changing the whole country
I'm
right
right.
out front, at least.
Isaac, I'm right there with you. I agree.
All right. Well, I think we're in a similar point here. I think
I
I
think
don't
you're
have much more to add.
I think you're absolutely right. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks, Eric.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
That was nice. So somebody posted a comment about the paradox of tolerance. And I just want to veil of ignorance, original position. You're asked to consider which principles you would select for the basic structure of society with no knowledge ahead of time, what position you would end up having. Yep. Okay. I think I got that.